ሀገሬ ግርማን አንተ ሀገሬ ኩራት እንደ ተጣላ ሰው ስትሸሽ ለዘመናት ሁሉም በጊዜው ነው ቅረብ እንተያይ አባይ አባይ አባይ
With us here is the Commissioner for Political Affairs here, the AU.
My name is Aisha Abdullahi. I'm the Commissioner for Political Affairs at the African Union. Briefly, the department has two major divisions. We have the divisions for governance, democracy, and then we have the humanitarian affairs division. Under the governance division, we are preoccupied with our mandate is to ensure that there is good governance, democracy, and we also have the electoral assistance unit. You know very well that the African Union has the mandate to monitor and observe all the elections in Africa, both parliamentary and presidential elections, which we have been doing. And we are also currently training all the electoral management units. I'm talking about the INEX of the various countries. We have been doing that successfully in various locations. And it would be a continuous process because we believe that if we can enhance the capacity of these electoral management units, the quality of elections in Africa will be better, and we could be having free, fair, credible elections, and that would go a long way in improving the quality of governance on the continent. Under the governance division also, we supervise also in charge of human rights. This department is also the focal department for the African Commission for Human and People's Rights. It's also a focal department for the African Court on Human and People's Rights in Arusha. It's also the focal department of the Advisory Board on Corruption. So we work closely with all the anti-corruption agencies all over Africa. And we coordinate their ministerial meetings. The department is also in charge of public service, and we coordinate the conference of the ministers of public service and also that of local governance and decentralization. Over the years, we have set all the norms, the charters, the conventions. Principally now, for us as far as good governance is concerned, we have the Charter on Democracy and Good Governance, which has been signed and ratified by most of our countries. And we have also launched the African Governance Architecture and Platform. And now the platform is fully operational. The platform provides a forum for all the stakeholders in governance, civil society, actors, our partners, and all those agencies that are major stakeholders in governance to come and to discuss together. Because we know very well in Africa that if we can improve on our quality of governance, then development, peace would come automatically, God willing.
Sure. Now, let's talk about a few of the issues we have raised. I will touch on the issue of elections. It has been a tensions issue in Africa. At least this time, we have got quite a few countries where we can say there have been credible elections, and the will of the people has been reflected in those elections. Yes. And but there have been some other places where the will of the people has not been reflected, but there's potential for violence as well. What contingent plans have you got for such a situations?
Thank you. This is a very good question. We are concerned that in many parts of Africa, the elections, as a result of election disputes, crises erupt. The case of Ghana, I think the level of democracy and democratization in Ghana has evolved to the extent that they respect the constitution and the rule of law. The opposition was simply exercising its right. It has gone to court and it's awaiting the court decision. So it is not something that is abnormal. Every time you have elections, of course, there would be parties that may have issues to raise. But what we appeal to all the major actors, in governance, in democracy, in elections, is that it should not be a case of a winner takes all. If we have a party that wins, it should manage the victory very well. And also, the vanquished, there would always be another chance, and they should also be given a role to play. Because this is Africa, and it's our responsibility to ensure that we develop, we grow, and we become a power to reckon with among the Committee of Nations.
Yeah.
And then in trying to, we have, sat back and reflected that the African Union observation and electoral assistance should be the number one on the continent. We have the highest mandate as per Africa. So we say, how do we improve on the quality of this election so that after the elections we have stability? And first, we are trying to ensure that whatever comes out of our report, all the recommendations are implemented. Another thing we are doing is that we now have long-term observation. Prior to this year, we used to have only short observation missions.
You are the AU Commissioner for Africa, but you are Nigerian national, so we'll talk about Nigeria, not because you're Nigerian. We will talk about Nigeria because Nigeria is part of Africa and part of your mandate. Yes. The story of Nigerian independence and politics and the elections has been a very long, twisted road. But right now we have got a few successful elections in Ekiti and other states, which have been termed as credible, even though some of them have gone to court for challenge. Do you think in the Nigerian case that we should now put up our leg and open our champagne or soda or to celebrate and say now Nigeria is on the path of free and fair elections or the path of democracy?
Well, not only for Nigeria, but for most of us in Africa, it's not party time yet. Even democracies, older democracies in Europe and other parts of the world are still faced with big challenges. So for us in Africa and Nigeria, our democracy is just evolving. We have to be patient, but there are developments, there are positive developments. You have cited some cases, and these things, God will continue to improve if we are really committed to make them improve. The goal of democracy, I would say that elections are not an end in themselves. Elections are just a tool for us to be able to identify credible leaders and establish good governance on the continent. It is true that as a tool, if we can improve on the quality of these elections, then we could have more credible leaders and then ensure good governance so that our people would have peace and sustainable development. So yes, we are on track, but we continue to improve.
Now, a lot of my viewers watching this program, which is the last note, is that some of them have given up on the African Union. They know the OAU, they don't know what is happening here, they don't know who is running this place. They knew of, maybe they could relate to this now because they've got their own person in your name as the Commissioner for Politics. What message have you got for the diaspora about this place, about this department, and the AU as a whole?
Yes. The African Union, well, the Organization of African Unity, which was created 50 years ago, and which now has become the African Union, codenamed AU, for us is the number one organization on the continent. It is the apex body on the continent. And I choose to disagree with you that people in the diaspora do not know what the African Union is doing. I would rather want to emphasize here that the African Union is a very relevant organization, and it would continue to assert itself not only on the continent but all over the world,